Hey you guys, I thought I'd have a little fun with Photoshop today. I know in this little world that I live in, it's well, let's put it this way: that with photos, you'll see here in a moment, you just can't believe everything that you see. But from an artistic standpoint, the possibilities are endless, and and it can be a lot of fun. And if you do it for a living, it can be a very valuable tool. And if you do it as a hobby, you can spend hours, if not days, in here, and all of a sudden wake up later and think, where did the time go? So anyhow, I have this picture of a bird. I guess it's a bird of some kind that we took out when we were out on the fishing pier here a week or so ago. And what I want to show you that Photoshop does, that first of all, this isn't for the professionals. I mean, you guys already know all this stuff, so you can just tune out, turn me off if you want to. But for my friends and family that have never either used Photoshop or have been curious about it or wonder what it's about or what it does, I'm just going to show you a fun little thing here that we can do with Photoshop. So again, this is just a nice picture of a pretty birdie, and this is Photoshop that I have open here, and it has some of these toolbars over here on the side that allow me to do a whole bunch of fun different things. And then over here on the right hand side we have the layers palette, which is probably it's very important, one of the biggest things that we rely on as far as getting around photographs, especially when you're adding text and you're doing graphic design and you're adding multiple items and objects in there. Then we want to put probably everything on about its own separate layer. But anyhow, go up here, and what I want to do first of all is, I think just for fun, we're going to make one bird become two birds. And so over here we have this thing that's called a rubber stamp tool, and it allows me to take from an area, say over here, and I can paste that anywhere on the page that I would want to. If I start drawing, then it'll copy, it'll follow along with me, and it'll copy from over there to over here. But for this little exercise, what I'd like to do, we're just going to make two birds. Now I can make two birds and just have both of them standing on this part of the dock, but it really, what it does, it just makes the both birds on what is called the same layer, which then doesn't really allow me a lot of flexibility. I'd have to do a lot of manipulating. I wouldn't be able to move it left or right or whatever. So what I'm going to do is go down here, and I'm going to create a new layer. It's just blank. There's nothing on it. If I were to turn the background layer off, that's what we get. But what I would like to do is take my clone tool, or rubber stamp, and I'm going to click onto my background layer, and then by holding down Alt, I get to, let's select a layer somewhere down here. We'll start here with our bird. This gives me a frame of reference. If I click down here along the dock, then I'll know that when I start over here, I'll start on an area on the dock that'll hopefully line up. So I hold down on Alt and I click one time. You see nothing happened, and I'm still on my background layer. But what I'd like to do is, this is going to allow me to take from the background layer and then copy it over onto my new blank layer. So it already knows, it remembered that we started here. So it's going to take, and it's kind of going to show me a little preview of where I want to start drawing. So I'm going to line up the board on the dock to be, let's do it a little further over here, right about like that. And then I'm just going to start drawing. And as you can see, it's copying from the left over onto the right. And it's making our nice bird. And of course, it's copying all of the elements beyond the bird too, outside of the bird. So the sky, the background, you see it's pulling that over. And then all the way down, and let's get all of his feet. And as you can see, it's copying the board too. And there we have it. 2 birds. You'll never believe anything you see in a photograph again, will you? Okay, so nice thing about it is that if I go over here, I click off my background layer, then you'll see what it is that I just copied over, right? So probably what I want to do is just have the bird, which will be just fine. So what I'm going to do, I'll just take the little magic wand tool. This is a quick way of doing this, and I can just select outside of the bird, hit delete, and then it gets rid of all this other stuff. And see, it's kind of being a little bit forgiving, or not forgiving, I should say. But if I go up here with this little magic wand tool and I change the tolerance, then the more or the lower the number, if I go down to 10, then it would be even less forgiving. If I go higher in number, it would be even more forgiving. It allows me to select an area. Now that's too much. If I were to do that and delete it, then I would be getting rid of part of the bird. So I don't want to do that. Now I'm going to go over here and I'm going to click back on the background layer. And then as you can see, there he is. There's our bird. And I can, again, we're going to go over here, select this eyeball, and we're going to take the bird out. So we'll be back to our original picture. But as you can see what it does. Now if I'm selected on this layer, and I go up and I want to, let's flip him. So let's transform, and let's just flip him horizontally. There he is. Now he's facing the other bird. But as you can see, we have a little problem down here with because this was on an angle, then obviously he's running uphill, downhill. Probably what I would do is just simply, I'm going to hit, on the PC it's Control T, on the Mac it's Command T, which just transforms. This little double arrow here lets me just tilt it a little bit. Oh, that makes me stretch it. If I go the double arrow, it lets me tilt it a little bit, get a line up my board. I can hit enter, or I can hit double click there. And then I have, again, we have our bird. And the thing about him is, I mean, if anybody were to look at that, they say, well, it's just the same bird and he's duplicated over there. Beauty of Photoshop is, and you can go in here and you can mess him up a little bit if you want to. I like to use warp. It's kind of fun. And you can take and just grab it, and let's just turn him into a slightly different bird. And then hit enter, and there you have 2 different birds. So there you are. That's our Photoshop fun for today, and I hope you enjoyed it. Go out and practice a little bit, and if you get Photoshop, I'm not sure, GIMP is a free Photoshop type program that might work the same way. I'm using Creative Cloud version. I'm sure many of the versions, I should say, all the way back to 5, probably 4, that will work as well. Okay, well, thank you guys. Have fun with that, and we'll see you next time.